What'd you see?
Hi, Corey. Well, as you know, Google supports, thousands of different devices, phones, tablets, laptops, set-top boxes. Today was really about the flagships. And front and center were those two Nexus phones you mentioned, one from Huawei, the 6P, one from LG, the 5X. Both run the latest software, lots of bells and whistles. They have a fingerprint sensor on the back. But these are Nexus devices, so Google does not sell them via wireless carriers. The larger one from Huawei starts at $499, the smaller one from LG, $349. So they're expensive. And the question is, and it always has been for Nexus devices, who are these for? Are they reference designs for other hardware makers, or is Google really trying to go after the high-end Android market, which, of course, Samsung has controlled? Listen in as I ask Dave Burke, the VP of Android, that question.
We start first back at the software, right? We create Android, and so our latest version, Android 6.0 Marshmallow, is rolling out next week. And so to create an actual mobile operating system or platform, you can't do it in the abstract. You actually need to build hardware. That hardware needs to be really good. You need to be carrying it around day in, day out, and really perfecting the software on it. So first and foremost, that's how Nexus was born. But then second, what we realized is we could also showcase the very best hardware, the very best software-hardware integration, and sort of inspire others to do a good job.
So you talked about Sensor Hub. It does seem today in lots of the things that you debuted that Google's trying to make computer science and machine learning, turning it into a competitive advantage and a benefit for users. One of the nice features you showed is how apps can become aware to when you use them and present themselves at that particular time of day. How deep of a competitive advantage is that for Google vis-a-vis some of the other platforms that are out there?
Yeah, I think like machine learning and deep learning, as it's known these days, is one of the big strengths of Android. If you look at how Google Photos works, like for me, it automatically can detect my 1-year-old's face, and like if I scroll back in history, it goes back to the very first photo that was taken like literally 3 seconds after she was born. It's just amazing how this technology works. Google's very much a cloud-based company, so when we say we're integrating software and hardware, we're actually really integrating hardware, software on the phone, and the cloud, and we want it all to be very seamless.
So I have to ask you, Google, as it has been for the past few years, has been under tremendous scrutiny from regulators in Europe, in the U.S., around its administration of Android. How much does that constrain the innovation?
When we think about Android, first and foremost, it's an open source platform. So we create the code, and then we make it available, and anyone can take it. And then from there's a set of Google applications. One of the things that we've done on the new Nexus devices, this is something we've been working on for quite a while, is a new service that basically means that when you're setting up the phone, we try to move as many of the non-essential applications to get installed post-setup. The result is you can then uninstall those applications just like any other app. And that's sort of the approach that we've been taking. From there, people ship Android devices with, and they bundle whatever services they want on top of that. It's an open market, and they can add what they need.
So, Brad, people always ask what the Apple events are like. Can you compare a Google event? I can't imagine it has the same sort of gee whiz buzz feeling.
No, it's completely different. I mean, it's much smaller. Apple packs those events with employees, with visiting dignitaries. They rent out huge halls. The Google event was small, but in a way, it's more authentic. They're talking about the products. They're talking about what they feel their advantages. Computer science, deep learning, the purpose and the point of the Nexus devices of Chromecast. It's 2 hours and you're done. So a little less drum roll around it, but you could say that it's the less effective approach. Certainly Apple gets a lot more attention for its events.
So no one's going to stop you on the street to ask you how it was. Well, I wonder if that's the nature. I mean, should we even care about these things? Because there are so many more devices, such a wider variety of devices that run on Android, that even Chromebooks and so on, that the hardware is not the thing, the software is the thing.
Well, look, I mean, this is, a company like Google is sending a message to consumers. Obviously, it wants people to buy these devices, but it's also speaking to partners. And Android in particular has become this unwieldy thing, very, very fractured, as you know. Lots of companies building low-end devices and doing quite well, maybe not profit-wise, but selling a lot of devices. And then a kind of massacre on the higher end where companies like Samsung are having trouble competing with Apple. And so Google, it's holding this event. It's sending a message to partners and saying, here's what's possible, with phones, with these designs, integrating new technologies like the fingerprint on the back of the phone, very different than, where Apple places the thumbprint on the iPhone. So it's about talking to partners, and it's about expressing Google's point of view, how it views these authenticating technologies, how it wants phones to be more aware of users' preferences.